Hello, and welcome to the Love Your Work Life podcast. I'm your host, Elissa Shuck. Whether you're going for that next promotion, looking for a job, or making a career pivot, I'll teach you how to navigate it all so you can have the career you want. Welcome to episode 129 of Love Your Work Life. There's a book I've read, and I'm certain that I've probably mentioned it many times on this podcast, but it's one of the books that really affected my leadership style early on in my career, and it's called Leadership is an Art by Max Dupree. The interesting thing about it, though, is the more that I've reflected on that book, when I open it and I kind of sort through and I look at the things I underlined, I realize that it's much more than a book about leadership, leading people inside an organization. The essential message of the book is about leadership versus management. And there are ways, of course, that we want to lead people. I engaged on a couple of comments on LinkedIn, even just today, about articles that have been shared and studies about how leaders make a real difference. So you know I'm all about the leadership stuff. But I'm also about leading ourselves. How can we be better leaders towards ourselves in the way we lead our life and career versus manage our life and career? I think it comes down to practical versus purposeful. And you can't really have one without the other. It's reasonable to have the two working together. But when the practical starts to be the dominating factor and you're losing your sense of purpose, it can have really devastating effects. I talk to people every day. The clients that I work with every day have slipped into practical because they're staying in a job they hate instead of tapping into purposeful and leveraging the practical things about themselves, the skills, the experience, the strengths into purpose. So let's talk about this a little bit. Practical versus purposeful is about not forgetting and valuing who you are and staying in tune with it. It's kind of like one of those things that you just have to check in on once in a while. Pianos go out of tune. They need maintenance. Cars need tune-ups. They need maintenance. We've got to pay attention to these things. Even schedule these moments where you are checking in on the practical versus the purposeful in your life and career. You can integrate the practical without sacrificing the purposeful. And that's what happens when people are in jobs that aren't working anymore. Most of the time, they've started sacrificing purpose in favor of practical. And eventually, my friends, that value equation doesn't work anymore. That's when you feel frustrated. That's when you start experiencing energy drain because purposeful is not being put in a high enough place. How do we know what purpose is? How do we get a sense of that with regards to the work that we're doing? I like 3 elements. The first one is about making a contribution. We are wired for contribution and community. For many of us, this happens at work. So you have to ask yourself, when it comes to purpose, Is this a community that you want to continue to be a part of? I had a community at work that I loved, but it started degrading over time. To be fair, it wasn't the people in my immediate circle of influence. It wasn't my team. This company, in the 5.5 years I was there, they changed executive leaders 6 times. Somebody lost a sense of the purpose and they started getting practical. We're not making the numbers, so we need to make a leadership change. This isn't happening, so let's change leaders again. I really believe, as I look back on my time there, that purpose was lost. Practical became too much of the conversation instead of balancing practical and purposeful. Are you contributing in the way that you want to? Are you being allowed to contribute in the way you want to? Contribution is tied to your strengths. Are you living only in your practical skills, or are you tapping into the strengths that feel good, that make you happy, that feel easy, that feel like a driving force within you? That's the thing to play around with as you evaluate practical versus purposeful in your career. Look at contribution. Next, we are all attracted to quality. We all know what quality looks like and feels like when we encounter it. And it's a personal thing. It doesn't mean that it's the most expensive thing. It means, are you aligning yourself with the quality that you enjoy, the quality that you're intrinsically attracted to? When it comes to quality in the workplace, the practical side of it is products, services, a standard of excellence. Yes, those are practical things. We want to make sure that work product is at a high level. That's practical. But quality is also about purpose, meaning the quality of your relationships, the quality of the communication inside the organization, and the quality of the commitment of the employees to each other, of your leader to you. And if you're a leader, the quality of commitment you have to your team. If quality is lacking and you're still hanging out there, then you might be overly attached to the practical instead of paying attention to the purposeful and ensuring that that is a key component of your work life. The third thing is realized potential. Now, in the book, there's a lot of talk about helping employees realize their full potential. And the way I see this playing out on a personal level is that oftentimes people are seeking me out for career transition because they've hit a ceiling. Something is going on that feels like they're not achieving their full potential. In the way it's described on the personal dynamics report that I have all my clients participate in, the dimensional effect is called compression. You're being held back. You know you're meant for more. You know you're capable of more, but no one is seeing that potential in you. And therefore, you feel like you can't leverage your full capacity and your full capabilities. It feels so awful, I know. And what happens is that eventually there's a real sense that the current role, the current company, or the current industry is no longer giving you the space to realize your full potential. This is the heart of a lot of conversations I have with people who are ready to make that transition. Realized potential is that you're turning your potential into a real, actualized experience. That can be financially, that can be through the use of your skills, that can be leveraging your strengths, leveraging your experience. Realized potential isn't just about the practical, or everyone would be satisfied with using the knowledge that you have on a daily basis. There would be no need for change. There would be no little nudges going on inside your brain. There's a call for more. That's normal. There are seasons to a career. One of my favorite stories about career transition happened with one of my clients who started out in corporate, went into teaching, and then transitioned out of teaching. Talk about seasons. But it's knowing when those seasons are over and accepting the fact that, hey, teaching didn't fit anymore. There was a calling to leverage all of the amazing skills, experience, and traits and characteristics and accomplishments as a teacher into something else. And I'm telling you, I've transitioned so many times in my career. It's what I love helping other people do. And if she can do it, if I can do it, you can do it. Sometimes we just don't want to accept that that place just doesn't fit anymore, that it's time to move on. Purpose is always going to drive us toward expanding, exploring our capacity, getting a sense of what we can do, and then going for it. Here's how I know, and here's how you can know that you've lost a sense of purpose and you're overly focused on the practical in your career. You know it's happening when you feel a sense of dissatisfaction. It starts to feel like this little nagging feeling. Super easy to ignore because practically speaking, this is just work life, right? We're going to have to deal with it. This feeling of dissatisfaction is the time to get curious. Getting curious doesn't even mean that you're making a decision to leave or anything else. Getting curious is just self-awareness. It's just asking good questions. Is it worth giving some time and energy to looking into that? Yes, it absolutely is. Because dissatisfaction, unattended, will eventually become frustration and eventually become disillusionment. And when you're frustrated and disillusioned, your capacity, your ability to start pursuing something else, redirect your focus to opportunities and possibility is diminished. Those feelings of frustration and disillusionment are not the kinds of feelings that motivate action. They just aren't. When was the last time you felt like putting yourself out there when you felt disillusioned? I bet it didn't happen. It's not a motivating feeling. So I want you to listen for the signals of purpose. When purpose is starting to slip away, get curious. Look for the contributions you are making inside that organization. Look for quality. I know you. You're putting quality work out there. That's just in you. You're full of integrity. You're full of authenticity. I know it's almost impossible for you to compromise on the quality of your work product. That's why you have to go deeper to the quality of the relationships, to the quality of the communication and commitment. And lastly, get curious about your potential. Is this place going to help you realize your full potential? Are you giving yourself permission to realize your full potential? Are you tapping in to your potential? Are you investing in your potential so that you can realize it from level to level to level to level? I truly believe, my friends, that you have everything you need to make that happen. And of course, if you're ready to make that transition, you know where to find me. There's a button right on my website about learning more and applying for coaching. Let's have a conversation. I guarantee you that whether we work together or not, you will feel better. One of the things I'm really good at is helping you turn on the light to your own purpose. All right, my friends, I'll talk to you next time. If you like this podcast, I invite you to visit the Love Your Work Life website at elissashuck-careercoach.com. On the site, you'll find all the information you need to work with me one-on-one, as well as get access to my courses, Job Search Field Guide, and The Art of Stellar Interviews. I can't wait to help. I look forward to seeing you there.